Why the halfling?
I do not know. Saruman believes that it is only great power that can hold evil in check. But that is not what I have found. I found it is the small things, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keeps the darkness at bay. Simple acts of kindness and love.
Welcome to Hobbit Talk, where we talk about all things Middle-earth. Today, we're going to go over 5 interesting facts about hobbits. Now, I don't know about you guys, but hobbits are some of my favorite characters in the Lord of the Rings series. Something about their calm lifestyle and disregard for power always stood out to me. So, let's get right into this. These are 5 facts you didn't know about hobbits. When the word hobbit comes to mind, what's the first thing you think of? Some would say it's their stout height, others may say their cheerful and stress-free demeanor, but for most, they would argue the most notable aspect of hobbits are their massive feet. However, Tolkien never intended for this to be a thing. In the books, hobbits are never described as having big feet. When introducing these simplistic creatures, Tolkien just states, they seldom wore shoes, since their feet had tough leathery soles and were clad in thick curling hair, much like the hair on their heads. The idea of giving hobbits big feet actually began around the 1960s and 70s when the brothers Hildebrandt drew numerous illustrations giving hobbits and dwarves uncanny foot sizes. While feet size do make the hobbits stand out more in the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films, Peter Jackson could have cut back on cost, fitting time, and discomfort to the actors of all those rubber feet. Due to hobbits' simplistic lifestyle, death seems to only be an afterthought, as they tend to live longer than most men of non-Númenórean descent. Most hobbits would actually average between 90 to 100 years of age. Just like us humans, the humans in Middle-earth live to be about 80 years old. The 2 oldest living recorded hobbits, except for Gollum, were the Old Took, who reached the age of 130, and Bilbo Baggins, who surpassed him at 131. With that said, the number could even grow higher if they were to go to the Undying Lands, but even there, death is still inevitable. If you would like to see more in-depth video regarding the Undying Lands, leave a comment down below. I'm sure you've all heard of the phrase second breakfast. This phrase is now widely popular and used by fans on a day-to-day basis. But did you know that hobbits actually eat way more than just an extra breakfast? In fact, hobbits actually eat around 7 meals a day. These meals usually consist of cheese, butter, bread, and preserves. They've also even mastered the art of baking seed cakes, fruit tarts, and scones. Now, to put this all in perspective, 4-time winning World's Strongest Man Brian Shaw also eats 7 meals a day to prepare for a contest. Before the creation of Hobbits, there were 2 books Tolkien admired. The Marvelous Land of Snurgs, written in 1927 by E.A. Wyke Smith, and Babbitt, written in 1922 by Sinclair Lewis. Tolkien himself stated that The Hobbit started suddenly, without premeditation. When he wrote the words, "In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit." Though many speculate that Snurgs were probably an unconscious source of hobbits. They also assume that the word hobbit was influenced by that of Babbitt. Hobbits are said to have originated in the Valley of Anduin, between Mirkwood and Misty Mountains. They can even trail back relating to the race of man, although the genealogical records concerning this were lost. There were 3 types of hobbit kind: the Harfoots, the Stewars, and the Followhides. The Harfoots made up the greatest population of hobbits and most closely resembled those described in The Hobbit. They were the hole dwellers, who originated the practice of living on the side of the hills. The Stewars were shorter and stockier and loved the water. They lived on the marshy Gladden fields and are thought to be the ancestors of the hobbits who settled in Buckland and the Marish. The Followhides were the adventurers of the group, living in the woods of the Misty Mountains and supporting a taller and fairer appearance than their brethren. The Followhides were usually the ones to lead the other hobbits politically, and it's even believed that the Tooks and Brandybucks were of Followhide descent. Perhaps one of the most iconic and admirable hobbies of the hobbits is their joy and urge to smoke pipeweed. Pipeweed was most widely popular in southern areas of Middle-earth like Bree, Longbottom, and the Shire. It is said that the plant originated in Numenor and was brought to Middle-earth during the Second Age. Gondorians grew quite fond of the plant, and locals started calling it Sweet Galians, and more popularly known as Westman's Weed. It wasn't until the Third Age, however, that it reached the hobbits, as their curious minds were the first to put it in their pipes and use for smoking. The newly derived art was then spread to other races such as men, dwarves, and wizards. In the scene in the Fellowship of the Ring, you can see Bilbo and Gandalf smoking together on the mountain. You'll assume that Gandalf had introduced the weed to Bilbo since his unmatchable skill allowed him to create a boat from the smoke. However, Gandalf actually learned to smoke from the hobbits themselves. In fact, Saruman initially ridiculed Gandalf for smoking the weed, but at some point after took up smoking himself. This can be seen after the destruction of Isengard when the hobbits Merry and Pippin found kilos among its stores. It can even be inferred that the weed they found was imported from the Shire, as Saruman had commerce with them. Well, there you have it. That was 5 facts you didn't know about hobbits. Leave in the comments down below if there are any other facts we might have missed. Also, let us know what kind of future videos you want to see us make. And as always, farewell.